Hi, and welcome back to the Drama Coach podcast. Today's episode is a really special one. I'm joined by Richard Cambridge, an actor, producer, and co-founder of both WeAudition and VertiCast. He's also someone I've known for a really long time, and someone who really understands both the industry and the importance of supporting young performers. As always, this is about building confidence, understanding, and realistic expectations, whether you're a performer or a parent that's supporting one. So let's get into this one. Rich, it's really lovely to have you on. Hello.
Really love to be on. Thanks for having me. Hi. Nice
really lovely. So as I said, we've known each other a long time, and you've always shown really genuine care around young performers. Firstly, coming in and teaching some of my students in a school, and then also towards my youngest daughter when she said she wanted to become an actor. Your first thought was for her well-being. Why is this something that matters to you?
Of course, it matters to all of us. Mental health is actually something, you know this, because I've been talking about it for years. Really, really important. And as an actor, you've got to look after it because it's like sort of your muscle that's part of you that you put out there when you're being an actor, and staying in the game is really, really important. Yes, for young people, it is important because it's not real life and it's not a real job. So it is important to have some sort of perspective, because young people can think that, oh, maybe, I could be a doctor or a nurse or an actor or an astronaut or a racing driver. Those things, you should put it in those contexts, really. Are you going to be an astronaut? Are you going to go to the moon? Very, very, very few people are going to have that as their job. There are a lot of people supporting them. A lot of people want to do it. A lot of people in training. Really similar. But the most important thing is having fun. And I started out being a young person. I started out doing commercials when I was at school. So I know what it's like for a young person with aspirations. And I know how important that is for young people to have aspirations and, thoughts for the future about what they're going to do with their life and be a success. But being a success isn't necessarily being what we think of as famous on TV or a movie star, because it's changed and it will continue to change.
Yes, absolutely. For anyone who doesn't know you, can you tell us a bit about your journey? You've touched upon the fact that you started pretty young, your journey as an actor and a producer, and how things like WeAudition and VertiCast came about. I appreciate there's a lot in that question. Feel free to take it bit by bit.
Of course. I've been doing this a long time, but what I've been doing is acting with other things always. So I've always had something else to support my acting. Some years I've made a good living being an actor. Some years I haven't made a good living being an actor, but I've been doing other things that sort of around in that area. About 11, 12 years ago, I made a friend in LA through being an actor in LA. I made a friend who was in sort of tech and both an actor. And that's my partner, Darren, now, my business partner, Darren, who we've been doing WeAudition for just over 11 years this week, actually, 11 years. But when we started doing that, I was doing client work as sort of a bit of web design stuff to support my acting. And that really, this concept of WeAudition, which I tell you all about, I still love it, brings together that tech background that I was doing for my day job and the acting world. And I knew it. And he approached me with this idea. Like I said, it was 12 years ago. So imagine the landscape technologically wise. There was no real broadband like we have it now. There was certainly no video chat as we have it now. But there was this emerging technology, which was that browsers could transmit a video feed. And this is before a lot of laptops had cameras like we're doing now. We're doing this interview now on video chat. But it was quite early. And I was like, I want to do a project with that. That's really interesting. And then Darren pitched me this idea. How about people doing self-tapes? Self-tape was new as well, over video chat. And I thought, that's brilliant. I could build that, but I get the need for it. I would use that. Even if I was next door to someone, I could video chat them and record it without having to go around and have the
set up. And
So WeAudition was born. WeAudition is self-tape readers, like Uber self-tape readers. You can get one on demand. If we look at the app, we've got nearly 70,000 people now. It's the biggest in Hollywood. It's a niche, but we've got, if we look at the app here like this, these people are all waiting by their computer, ready to read with someone to be their reader. Look how many we've got. This is not our members. This is the people that are ready, willing. Awesome. So I could pick any of those and they would. So this is Queenie. I've never met her. Don't know who she is. Hi, if you ever watch this. I could press that button and she would appear on my screen. She's waiting by a computer or her laptop or whatever to read with me. People earn good money doing this. People use it as their sideline job. So coming back to sideline jobs, you need a sideline
I've
job.
been a reader for
You've been a reader? Yes, you have. You've read to me.
I've even been your reader.
Yeah,
that was like so lovely when I got your call. And yeah, it's really enjoyable and a lovely way to connect with people as well as keep your toe in the craft, I suppose, because you're looking at other scripts. And yeah, it's a really fun way of earning extra money. Definitely.
It is. Yeah,
I think
really
our kids are a bit young for it. Hey, maybe the parents want to be readers. Because after all, they are their readers, and I'd love to talk about readers, but you wanted to go. We can come back to that. I don't want to lose your train of thought because obviously the parents are usually the kids' readers, so I want to talk about readers.
They are, and do you know what we say? Saving relationships since 2015, because I don't think you should use your parents, or I don't think you should use your spouse particularly, or your flatmate, because you're sort of like. You have an embroiled favour with that. And if you use a professional reader, someone online, there's no favour. You're paying money. Some people do it for free. You're paying $5, $10 for 15 minutes. You're paying for their time. They're a professional reader. They'll be on it. You don't have to chat around the houses about how they are and how their life is and all their woes. And you can be in the moment. You can get the script ready to sort of a semi-performance ready, or use it for rehearsal. Go in with someone and then say, I want to read this. And there's no chit-chat. There might be some chit-chat, but you're basically going to read the scene and do your best. And the best readers, they're like, oh, one more, we could try it like this, or let's try this, or one again. I've never not had a reader that's like that. And that's their job, they're for 15 minutes or half an hour, and they're getting something out of it. But the quality of my performance when I'm reading with a real person over a taped version of myself, or I learn my line. I'll tell you how I learn my lines if you like tonight. But it's always another step up. And if we're talking about a winner takes all situation, which we are with film, with casting, if you're second, you lose. If you're third, doesn't matter. It's the same as second. If if you didn't do an audition, it's the same as coming second. So it's winner takes all. So every little bit helps. Just to get a little bit better.
I'm gonna disagree really slightly because I don't want our audience to feel sad about that. I still think if you've had that self tape and you've been seen by casting, I try and tell the kids listening especially that is a win. You've been in front of casting. But yes, in terms of an actual job, I agree with you. But in terms of celebrating the things that are in your control, I'd like to politely disagree. But I agree with you for the job.
I agree with that. Slightly different, yeah. I agree with what you're saying there. It is a win. And actually, I was going to say that as sort of advice, really. I see that doing the audition as the job. So I do as good a job as I possibly can and celebrate that's my job for the day. Yes, I've done a self-tape. And I push it off there into the universe. So yes, to do with that job, it's not a win, but yeah, getting in front of casting, getting the audition is a win. Just being involved, having something to do, and that as a being seen, being asked to do a tape, massive win. So don't take that in the wrong way. I completely agree. The other product that I've done, so that was my digital life going together with acting. So then I stopped doing work for other people, and then recently we've got another product. There's been a rise in vertical dramas in the last year or so. And these are small soap operas on phones, generally, like filmed in a 9:16 format. Lots of auditions for those, which is great. We see a lot of those through WeAudition. So we didn't ever want to be a casting site with WeAudition because lots of other people do it. Lots of other people do it very well. But there is a niche here because people are doing it super fast. So we invented VertiCast. So you can download this on the App Store. It's verticastapp.com if you want to go on a website, and there's a link through, but you can just search on the iOS App Store. So you do a search. So you do your filter search on what you want, some keywords and whatever you want. And then you get a list of the people that are on the database. And then you go, yep, nope.
It's like a dating app.
Yep. It's Tinder for casting. Yep, nope. I want to look through her pictures. I want to see her show reel, and super fast. So imagine if you're casting something. Imagine how slow the old way of doing it is, and how fast this is. And if I want to do that, then I can look at more information about her and her availability. So the speed of it, I can book someone. I can just look at people that are available tomorrow if I want them, and that's what's happening.
And have
in LA.
you noticed that verticals get cast and produced much quicker? Is the process?
Yes.
Much
people drop out because it's relatively low wages.
Yeah,
people drop out. Also, things are done fast. It's a 3-month window from conception to edit and delivery. So, when I've produced stuff, I've done stuff like this. You write a script in a week, you shoot it in a week or 2 weeks, and then it's editing and it's out, it's done. So we're hoping that this becomes really part of the infrastructure for casting in the vertical sphere. So we'll see. So you can join that at verticastapp.com or just download it. Hopefully, by the time this comes out, we'll have an Android version as well, which we struggled to do with WeAudition because of the technology. But with this one, we can do it.
And I presume that would be 18 plus to be on the app as well.
We have 16 plus. We have we have laws in the USA because we have a license in California where we have to be 16 plus. So do you know what? I think it's actually 17 plus because of just the way that the ages work in the States, 17 and older. That's what they say. I might have got that wrong, but
we can check it and we can stick it in the show notes. That's fine. We'll stick the age range in the show notes. There we go.
Yeah, because it's different in different jurisdictions, and we've tried to do that on the App Store. We might have said 18 plus on the app to try and stop people going in because we do have a license obligation with lots of bureaucratic bonds and stuff in America.
Yes, of course.
So doing business in America, very strange for an English person.
So I've heard. So I wanted to talk a bit more about WeAudition and in particular being a reader. So you see all of these fantastic readers, the professional readers that are on there. We do have a lot of the time the parents being the reader for the child. They don't want to be spending out on a reader. They've perhaps coached their child. I think you and I have nicknamed Momager. I've nicknamed myself.
Maybe I've got that from you. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe I got it from you times ago. So I do use that for myself because although my child is represented, it is obviously me going to and fro with the agent and sorting her out and sorting her diary and when we're actually going to do that self-tape, which I find if we put it in the calendar, it gets done. That's the easiest way to do it. And the rest of the family know what we're up to and try and leave us alone, which is nice. So you see all of these readers. You have a lot of readers yourself. Even if it has to be the parent, what are the qualities that we're looking for in a good reader? How can we help these parents be better readers?
Okay, number one, just keep going. It has absolutely no issue. I've had a reader actually before that they get a word wrong and they're like, "Oh, sorry, can we go again?" No, don't bother.
Crack on.
Just try and read it. It doesn't even matter if you get the words wrong, to be honest. You just need to be roughly right. The best readers pick up on what you're doing. So I did something recently with JD, who's a friend of mine, but also my reader for something. And I sort of knew the words for this show. And I was talking about something in this scene. And I accidentally said, instead of my friend or my partner, I said, I can't remember, I said my wife instead of my friend or something. Mm-hmm. And it changed the gender of what should be in the script. And so what he did, which was brilliant, and we didn't even talk about it beforehand, is he just picked up and as he was reading the script, he just regendered all of the other stuff. Perfect. So it made sense for wife, just on that one take. So who cares if it was my wife or my friend? It doesn't matter, No. But he picked up on that. And when he referenced back to your friend, instead of, which was in the script, he said your wife. Now, an AI can't do that. There's lots of these AI programs that have floated up. They can't do that. But I'd say just keep going and also be supportive. There's loads of things. Be supportive. It's not about you as well. If you're a reader, no one really cares about you. You can support and you can give something back, and a good reader does, and picks up on it. But it's not about you, it's about the other performance. So sometimes you might be able to do things that give a better performance to the person, giving it light and shade or guiding them through where it's going. And if you're on the same page, you're going to start off slow and you're going to move fast, or you're going to give it some texture. You can be part of that journey, and creating that together with a good reader is part of what makes a good reader. Parents might not be able to do that, but if you're hiring a professional reader, they do that inherently.
Of course they do. Yeah,
of course they do. And they'll go.
Parents don't overact. They be careful they don't overact. I'm an actor and I can get overexcited. I always make sure I'm not mic'd, so that
I was going to say that actually.
Because you're close to the phone as a reader. If you're there in the room, you're really close to the phone, which is often the microphone. So I tend to mic my child, and then I'm behind and I'm much quieter.
idea. Yeah, Darren, my business partner for WeAudition, Mike's the reader, and if he's reading in real life, a lot of the time he'll use WeAudition because he likes to have like both as clear as each other, sort of thing. So it's not.
Yeah, okay.
But I always do exactly what you do. So you mic yourself, so you're nice and close and nice and clear, and then the reader is slightly,
Second fiddle.
quieter or further
Yeah.
away. They don't want to be closer than the actor.
No.
If they're further away, it's fine. If they're the same, it's fine. I edit as well. I always bring my self-tapes into, I use Premiere Pro because I've got a license for my other work, but you could use whatever. There's lots of different systems. I bring it into an editor so I could adjust those levels if I wanted to.
Oh, that's
I
good.
generally don't.
Yeah. And I don't
did
want to
go
make
through a
work for
phase-
the parents. We've got some really techie ones that love it and others that this is just a bugbear and they'd rather be in the room. So yeah, I
get
say
that.
use what works for you. Yeah.
Now, if I'm realistic, we're not going to be back in the room again ever. We
Mm.
might be for recalls. but
Recalls,
there's
especially
no way.
child recalls, because they want to
Yeah.
see how they interact with people in general. So most child second, the first recalls are in person.
Yes, first recall. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But for that first thing, when I
But your
started
first
off
is gonna
doing
be
things, I was at
self-tape,
school.
yeah.
I was going up to London from the West Country every week for an audition, and I'd go up in person and for a 5-minute slot on a ridiculous, really, 100 miles. It's just not realistic now. But what it does mean
time,
is that a lot
money,
more
yeah.
people, they're not putting budgets in for the casting because they know that they can do it via self-tape. So the production companies don't give budget for it. So there's no offices, there's no place to do it. So whereas I was doing that regularly before, we could do it it does mean that more people are seen because you can only see a certain number of people in a day. But with a self-tape, you could ask for 200, 300 self-tapes. So it does mean
And that casting
competition
have
is
got
there.
less time to look at you as well. You've got to make an impression, I would say, quicker because they are seeing more in the same time frame, I would imagine.
They are seeing more people, and there is a big discussion about how much they see on a tape. I was at the WeAudition Actors Expo Pro this year, and I was on a panel with someone, and I was watching a different panel. I won't mention the casting director, but she said that she watches a tape and she knows within about 5 seconds if they're right for the role or not.
Yeah.
She didn't say she turns it off there or not, but if they're not right for it and she's busy,
What's the point? Yeah.
she's not going to watch the whole tape. And that
Yeah.
is a big thing in the industry. People say, we watch all of the tapes. We watch all of them. Someone might in the office watch every single one. Having said that, they might know in the first 10 seconds and move on. So you've got to make your best work up front. I like to do something before the scene, actually. Quite often I'll make up a few lines before the scene.
I love a bit
Say
of
we
stage
start off a scene
business.
with-
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Love
Say we
this.
start off a scene with you and me, and we, did you see the game last night or whatever? Don't know why I said that. I don't know anything about sport. You know that.
Me neither.
That's the first line.
There's
of the
some
script.
good acting there, Rich, if you and I are talking about sport.
But then I might say, other things first. We might talk about what's in the fridge first, and then go into, do you see the game last night? And that first line then will be so snappy, and then I'll edit it out. Another reason I go through an editor. But you could crop that on your phone.
Yeah.
But I find that really good. And sometimes
really
people
nice.
put a button on the end, which is a little bit extra. I like to do
Yeah, I
that.
like that.
Not always
I
a
like that.
line, but it might be a or a
Yeah.
walk off or a not a
whatever
sigh.
feels
No, never a
right.
sigh. But quite often something on the end to give it a bit of character.
Go on. Why do you say not a sigh? I agree. I don't like huffs.
No, people in real life
much
don't
huffing.
sigh. We all act with a sigh. Oh, God's
Yeah.
sake. Oh, phew.
But
No
it's
one does
pretty
that in real
rare
life.
in real life. Yeah.
No, you hold in your emotion in real life. You try not to
Mhm.
sigh. Go,
Yeah.
you would never. You might do a big deep breath, but you wouldn't. People in acting quite often do a sigh when they're thinking of what the lines are, or they don't know what to say.
Yes.
And it
yes.
comes
Or
across as they don't
slow
know
it
what the lines
down
are.
oddly. Yeah. Because they're looking for time to just click that line.
That's true. A lot of people take out the punctuation in their things as well, because sometimes when you're thinking, you don't stop at the end of a comma or a sentence. You stop in the middle of the sentence, and then you carry on, and you link it to the next sentence.
I've seen that in students
because you don't.
quite a lot.
They're not for you. They're for the reader, really. They are an indication, but I think sometimes when you're trying to be natural, which is the style. We'll talk about naturalism. If you were watching streaming or movies at the moment in 2026, the style is naturalism. You know this, your drum
Great.
teacher.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to be, as though we're a fly on the wall, we're watching this real thing. Now, historically, I find this so interesting. That
I
is
love
not
this.
the norm. They're not the norm. That is really
Yeah.
new. And so we've got this new thing, which is
Think how big our
cinema.
TVs are, like or your phone up close to your face. Whereas if you go historically, you'd be so far away without lighting, etc. You can see how this has happened. Sorry, I disrupted your thought.
No, you are. We totally agree. Now, even if you and me, go to the theatre and we watch a pantomime in the UK, we have pantomime.
Great fun.
Yeah, great fun. No one's going, oh, this is bad acting. That's the style of the show. You know, you are presenting the story. And actually, you might look to the audience and you might have a little chat to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they do. And then you go back to the story and no one says, oh, this is unrealistic. You get embroidered in the story. You go off on the...
Of course you do. So suspend your disbelief and go for it.
Yeah, you do. As human beings, we're around the campfire and we go, oh, that's a good story. And then you start to go off in your own imagination. This idea that it has to be natural is a fad. It is what we have now. And we might continue, and it probably will continue for movies and television. It's not the same theatre. It's not the same on this vertical drama thing. So this vertical drama is new melodrama. I can see your cat behind you.
Well, Maisie's come to say hi. She likes to do this. This is her second podcast feature now. This is really interesting that this
vertical drama
this
has
style.
A different style. It's over the top. You know, you go in at 100%. A friend of mine, director, who directs 30 of them, said you go in at 100%. You know, I want to see 100%. And you would never dream of doing 100% on an audition for a TV drama. I did a thing recently for Disney Plus, and it was playing a police officer. There's a few lines in a really big show. I just felt like, I was a bit sort of like, and I felt like it was exactly the same as this character. And I was like, oh my God, I've got this self-tape to do. I'm just going to go and do it. Dinner was like, I was just doing dinner or something. And I went upstairs and I went on WeAudition. I found a reader, Stuart, I always remember. And I said, I need to do this thing. I just feel like I'm in the right zone for this character. Can we just read it? I don't really know it. Can we do it? And we just read a few lines. And I'm like, great, that's fine, thanks. And I booked it. And it was because it was really natural. I was feeling exactly what that character was.
Feeling it.
Kind of like, for God's sake. Just be careful. Like, this is such a pain. And I thought that fits that character so well. That's what we're looking for with TV. With this new thing on vertical, it's completely different. It's pantomime, to come back to that. So another tip for people, when they are reading, you got to fit your audition to what you're going for. If you're going for a Sorkin movie, it's going to be completely different as if you're going for a vertical drama, or if you're going for a commercial. And
that's where the mumagers can go and do their bit of research. Or it doesn't have to just be mums. Of course it doesn't. I just know there are a lot of them. Well, but whoever your parent or carer is, they can do a bit of a deep dive and look into that style. Because your agent, if you've got one, is not going to do it for you. They're just going to say, here's the tape, this is the deadline. You know, fantastic if you can go and what great knowledge just for the future anyway. Go and check out that casting director or that style of... It depends. You don't always get that much information, but on whatever information you've got, I think how fun to go and have a dive into what that style is going to be like.
You get a lot less nowadays. I think we used to have a little bit more, but there used to be this thing for The Crown, for instance. I went for The Crown, and they didn't give you sides.
Really?
You had to turn up. No, you had, because it was so
they wanted to keep it. Yeah.
And I went for a Marvel movie. It was the same, and you go in. And now I think they do fake sides, so you can prep. But you went in the room. I know they did
I won't say, for a well-known TV series, yes.
And you go in and an hour before you can pick up the sides. So you're literally sitting there with this thing, reading them in a quiet waiting room. And I used to go in and try and take them away, and sometimes they let you, sometimes they didn't.
Am I right in thinking you are a fellow dyslexic?
You're
not sure.
And Chris thinks that I am.
Well, I don't know. I just see
Chris
similar traits in us sometimes. But I've recently found I might be ADHD, actually, and that was all through a meal. But that's another. Yeah, I see similar traits in us that I wonder. But I would think
I have wondered that in recent years.
Could be
and that's
really
because of your husband.
Stressful. Oh, I'm really sorry.
No, it's good.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
And actually, I consider myself very good at some stuff and very bad at other stuff. And reading and spelling is not my forte. But I think we're all a pie of fantastic things, and we divide it up differently.
Absolutely.
I'm much better at visualization and some stuff and getting things done than sometimes I'm like, how could you not?
Yes.
imagine what you think in words. Sorry, like some people
I
think
think
in
in
words.
colours and rainbows, and
I think in pictures. I
yeah.
just think in concepts. I think in 3D
Yeah.
concepts. I don't think
Yeah.
in word. I don't talk to
Yes.
myself. I just
Yeah.
think of and colours and all of that, and rainbows and unicorns. I don't know.
I don't know, probably.
But yeah, so that's a recent discovery.
Yeah,
I
I
think.
just
See.
wondered
I
when
don't know.
you're given that side that you've never seen, and again for a child, this is hard. If it's like, here is this, you've got 10 minutes. That's quite stressful.
Very hard.
That's a lot
Very
of pressure.
hard. So I would use either your mum, like to learn the lines, like talked about, but I would also use this app, no affiliation, called Line Learner. Now I use this Line Learner app. I've used it since it came out, so years and years and years. So what you do, okay if I advertise this. I don't have any affiliation.
Fine if you're happy to. Yeah, and again,
So
we're not sponsors, but we're happy to hear about anything that we think is useful. If anyone's listening and they want to sponsor, go for it. But yeah, anything that's useful, we want to hear about.
So I use this. It's called Line Learner. Download it. It's got like a little blue icon of two people talking. So what you do is you set up a script. These are all the scripts that I've done recently. And then you give it a new name. And then you record. So you go to the record section. Let's see what I can show you. So like this. And then you record the whole script with you and the other people. So anyone else who's a line, you record them. And then you record you. And then you can play back the whole thing. Now, I like to read through it a few times to get an idea of it. And then as you do it, you just press the left and right, left and right, left and right. And you can re-record the lines if you want. And then, if you want, you can turn off your lines.
Yay, you've got someone to run your lines, something to run your lines with you.
Yeah, you can do that. And you can run that with the script. So I do that with the script for a little bit. And then I look up from the script. So I try not to look at it, but it's still with me. Yeah. And after a bit, you find yourself not looking at the script at all.
You've got different ways of learning built in there. That's really cool.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've advised lots of different people how to do it. But I find that's good because it bakes in how you feel and what you hear from the other character. You're not learning your lines, you're listening and responding. And then hopefully the lines come out. So I find that really good way to. And then when I've got that, then I'll go onto WeAudition with a real person and it will take it up another layer.
I think another hint, if you're going to use something like that, is because I've fallen into this trap before, try and record your lines, because you said you could re-record them if you want. Try and record them either in a neutral way or in several different ways, because the worst thing is you could get stuck into a vocal pattern then of your own way of saying the lines. Whereas I think if you varied it or been neutral, then you're ready to play with a reader, aren't you? And to make it feel real. Yes, that's right. And the reason this app works is because it doesn't play back your lines. What it does is it just leaves a gap. So it leaves the exact gap. Yeah. And sometimes you might need to be a bit bigger and smaller and make that gap bigger or smaller. But what I like about it is that you're not forced to listen to the same thing again and again, your first choice. That's good. You can do it differently every time. And that's what you can do with a real reader as well. If you want to slow down and you're with a real reader, they will slow down with you. And then you could go into a different space that you might not have thought about. And then you could be really quick as well. And they might bounce back really quick. And then you could get some snappy, go over each other, and it might come up. So you can't do that with an AI. You can't do that with that line learning app. But there's different phases. Yeah, it's all working. I like that, especially if you've got time to learn the lines. Some things come quicker than others, don't they? If you've got time to really embed it, that's really fun. And those reader tips that you've just said about varying pace, or I don't know what else, you gave a couple of different ways of varying. The parents, if there is the parents who are the readers, they can do that. They can take that on board and say, let's try these things when the child isn't yet ready to perhaps suggest different pace. That is something you could play around with your child just for fun. And then if it creates a great tape, then great. It should be fun. And actually experimenting and not being scared to go really quiet as well, because actually some of the best things, the volume can be up. If you've got a microphone, especially if you've got one of those little clip-on microphones, you don't need to be saying, I'm talking loudly to you as though you're on the other side of the road, but we could be talking like this, to each other because we've got microphones. I get excited and talk far too loud most of the time. I forget my inside voice. I forget it for self-tapes as well. You're totally right. I'll teach it in real in-person classes, online classes, but can I remember it from myself? No. Sometimes your first take is actually one of the best because it does do that natural thing, and then you're not performing, you're just sometimes searching for the lines a little bit, or you're
oh, you're a little bit nervous, or I don't know. Sometimes the
agree.
best. And the
Yes.
difference between your first tape and your third tape or your fifth tape or your 10th tape generally isn't very much. In the big scheme
Agreed.
of where you are, like, you might get a little bit better. But
Don't do 10 takes, kids. I reckon 4 max. 3
if you
would
get
be
the
great.
words right, know it
Yeah.
so well that you can do one and perform one.
Because it's huge admin for your parents as well. If they've got 10 takes to then go through, you think about how much longer that's going to take. If they've got 3 to check through, that's so much better.
I star them on my phone as well. If we're going to do that, if your parent, when you are recording, if they're going to do lots of them, which I don't advise, exactly as Lisa said, star them on your phone and only transfer or look at those stars. Don't look at everything. Don't look back at your look back at those, but don't look back at all of them. You're not going to find something absolutely magical in those other ones. I mean, you might, but the risk reward
but it's a lot of time.
The risk reward is just not there. Go and have a nice life. Just look at the ones that you starred. So you go, oh, that was a good one. Or there's something nice in that. I thought there was something nice in that. So I tend to do 2 or 3. And then for some reason, my phone takes forever to transfer to my computer.
Oh, that's
so
annoying.
Every one that I do it in cinematic mode. So I think it's compressing it before it goes. Each one of those takes 2 or 3 minutes. So every take that I want to do is an extra 2 or 3 minutes. I have to sit there and wait for it to transfer across. So I'll only do, and also slate. In America, for American stuff, you always have to do a slate. Quite often I forget. So don't pack away your stuff.
How annoying.
Yeah,
no, don't pack away until you've done your edit and sent it off. Yeah. I say this.
Or you could meet something and you go, oh, I've just read in the description he's a killer. So I did it as a romantic lead.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to do it again.
Yeah. Don't take your costume off and leave your kid in their costume and everything else until you've stuck it together.
Or you because otherwise you've got it. And then you probably want to do your slate in your costume as well. Or just do it all there and then.
Do you slate before or after, or does it depend on the project?
If they ask for something, do that. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they ask for one file.
Yeah.
I will almost always do a slate after I've finished, and I will put it as a separate file. Richard Cambridge _ name of character _ slate. Almost always as a separate file. That's generally because Actors Access, which is what I upload most stuff, goes on. I send it there. I will always name the 2 files the same thing, so they sit next to each other. So my name, the role, or the film sometimes, depending on what they ask for, and then usually _slate _scene, and then usually I do scene 1, scene 2. If they want it as one file, they can either ask or they can edit it together themselves. I think they most probably will. So I just do that. Then they can choose.
Oh,
but that's what I do.
Because most of the UK stuff we've had, or the agents wanted it in one file, so we do.
If they ask, yes, they are. Yeah. If they ask, do that.
Yeah, and if they'd ask separate files, we'd do separate. But that's interesting that that's your norm, whereas ours is usually slate at the beginning and all within one file. I've sometimes done my slate, taken a breath, and gone into my character, and I felt really proud that I could do that. But I think that's, I don't know. I think maybe on a child that might be harsh. It's quite nice to just nail a slate and nail a scene.
Yeah, I think that's better for their mental health. Also, I'd probably do it in the same accent and character.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Although the other day, I did the opposite because I'd specifically been asked to do it in an accent. So I did like a mini slate in the accent and then my like proper slate at the end. It just felt right. It just felt like the thing to do. I didn't want to jar it. I think, sometimes you just got to make that choice and go with it, haven't you? So we might be doing what we think is the best advice. And actually, you know your child, you know this style, you've got your agent's advice if you've got one and you go, this is the right thing to do for this tape, for this project.
I'd say don't take actors' advice as well because a lot of us don't know what we're doing. We're just doing the best we can.
We're all just learning as we go all the time, I think.
Yeah, doing the best
all
we can. And sometimes you know when it's a good thing, you're like, oh, I've got a chance on that. And sometimes you think, I've absolutely nailed that and you don't even hear back.
Yeah. I talk about this all the time.
In retrospect, when you look at tapes, you're like, oh, yeah, that was a good tape. Yeah, you can see why they cast me in that, whatever, but
the time you're so invested.
You never know at the time.
Right, so I want to move on a little bit. That's all really, really useful self-tape and reader information. But I feel like you're selling yourself short a little bit here when you say, don't take actors' advice. I want to talk about working at a high level because I know you've done lots of this. And I'm just going to name drop. Why not? You've worked
Thanks.
with people like David Harbour, Orlando Bloom. How do you prepare for that level of work without letting it overwhelm you? And then we'll spin it a bit, because what might be personal to you might not necessarily work for the kids. Might not care, but the parents, we don't want them to get overexcited about big projects. How do you let this stay grounded, I suppose?
I think if you've done a lot of work, which I'm very fortunate over the years I have, they're very similar. They're very similar. The only real difference between a $100 million movie, which I've been on with the aforementioned, and a $100,000 movie, the only real difference is the circus that goes around everything. So big trailers, big production cars, big sets. You kept very separate, lots of catering, lots of extras. That's the only thing that's actually different. The fundamentals, maybe the number of cameras nowadays, but it wasn't that, not until recently. The fundamentals are exactly the same. You're having a director say hello, block through the lines, telling you which part of the scene you're going to do, call action, run the scene, and say cut. To all intents and purposes, it's exactly the same. On a smaller thing, you're going to do, on some of the vertical dramas, you're doing 10 to 15 pages a day.
Yes,
So
I'd
this is
heard it's a lot
1 minute a day.
more.
Yes, and that's a lot harder for an actor to do. It's a very different job. On a big movie, you might be doing 2 or 3 lines a day. So you might be doing a scene over a couple of days. Maybe you're doing a whole scene, but that'll take the whole day. Bear in mind, you're probably going to do one way round in the morning, then turn it round in the afternoon. So you might be off camera the whole morning, or on camera, generally the stars are second as well. So generally you'll do your on-camera thing first, because they want the star to, have had a bit of practice with you. So that's generally how it works with a big production. On the smaller stuff, they're running a scene, 1 or 2 takes. They're setting it up probably whilst you're doing the scene before, and then you're walking into a room and doing it, or you might be going to have a cup of tea or change your costume, and then you're going back on for the next one. So you damn better know your lines. If you're doing 15 pages, if you get an audition and it's 15 pages, I'm like, oh God, that's going to take me all day to learn. And I'm going to read some of it, 15 pages. But on set, you haven't got that luxury. You've got to do your best at that number. So there is a difference. Yeah. What's the difference? On a big show, you're probably not going to hang out with your fellow people. For example, you talked about Orlando and nice chap, and David Harbour. I barely spoke to David. I stayed in the same hotel with him for 6 weeks. I had dinners with him. Everyone's working so hard doing their own thing. Everyone has their trailers. You don't get to mix. It's not like you're going to be hanging out and being best buddies.
You're working. Yeah.
You're working, and they're off learning their lines because they've got really important and millions of dollars worth of weight on their shoulders. They've got for instance, David was doing all the lines in shows with probably 2,000 extras and 12 cameras. So he's walking on stage with a very different mentality to me, who's got a couple of lines and, has been rehearsing that for the last 5 weeks. Very different. So he's obviously going to be absolutely on it, and they're at the top of the game, so they're doing that. But you don't really interact, and it's not the time for small talk unless it comes up. But on a smaller production, yes, you're going to be with the stars. Yes, you're going to be chatting with them and creating a bit of a scene together and working through it together, and maybe rehearsing it, running through a few lines beforehand, especially as the kids. You might run through it in the green room. If you have an even green room, you might have just a crew holding area. Yeah, they're very similar in many respects. You just gotta do your best and deliver your job, and not worry about anyone else's. Your job is to get the lines right, hit your marks, keep quiet about everything else. That's your job.
Yep. And I think a lot of misconception for those, because we have listeners who they're just at the very beginning of their acting journey. I think a big misconception is that it's all hype and buzz and very fast, but actually there's a lot of waiting around, and that can be hard for children, and they need to make that switch of suddenly they're on, they're waiting around, and then boom, they have to do the thing.
I spent a week for Gran Turismo. I spent a week in Dubai and I only filmed 1.5 days. So every morning we'd get a call at 6 a.m. to whether we're on that day. And I'm like, and
so you got to be ready to do it if you're called.
Yeah. And so you'd rehearse it the night before, and you go to bed early or whatever, and you make sure that you're ready, and you're up at 5:30 ready just waiting for your phone to ring. And that's not their bad organization. That's just how it sometimes works. When you're at a certain level,
on location,
and then you're there for the day, and it's your thing, but then it might not happen, and you might be cut as well.
Yeah. Or that's really hard as well. When the parents have told the entire family and they're all very excited about this scene, and then it's cut. Yeah. Don't make it your Facebook update. Well, you shouldn't be sharing this kind of stuff anyway, but
no, that's sometimes really difficult. I've had that
reality.
Happen, or your scene, your film, it might be 2 or 3 scenes or a big storyline, but actually in the edit they might decide that actually it's not very big. That was actually the Jean Charles thing. It was a much smaller character in the edit than it was that I filmed. But it doesn't matter, it's still there. You're still on the credits. You still did the job. But that is sometimes quite difficult to do. But it's not glamorous, and there is a lot of waiting. But we say, hurry up and hang on. You've got to be ready when you're ready.
Like
hurry up
you've
got to be
and
there.
hang on.
You've got to be there because there's 1,000 people waiting for you. Or hang on, just wait, because we've got to get all the ducks have got to be in a row to go. Less so on the other dramas. So talking about vertical dramas, very similar to Hollyoaks. I did Hollyoaks a while ago.
Yes, and that was going to be one of my questions coming up. Was to talk. Yes, you did. That's my next question. Long form TV and Hollyoaks, and how that was for you in comparison. Yeah, tell us about that.
Brilliant. So Hollyoaks, I don't know if they still do it this way. I think they do. So they shoot 3 weeks, and then there's 2 more weeks for post-production. They do the editing during the shoot time as well. So you shoot a whole week's worth of episodes, so 5 half hours in 3 weeks, and then the whole thing to deliver takes 5 weeks, including the shoot, which is phenomenally fast.
Yeah,
so then that means they have 5 crews. So you have crew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're all shooting continuously, so they can always pump out 5 shows a week. And then they also have to catch some of those up for Christmas and days off and things like that as well, which is how they do it. I don't know. So you might be shooting 5 days apart. That's hard. Now, they used to it when I was doing it. It was single camera, which is just like doing a movie. Same thing. You shoot this way, and then you turn around and you shoot it that way. Now, microdramas, they don't do that. They quite often use 2 cameras. So you either shoot 2 this way, wide and close up, slightly different in the way you perform, or they cross shoot, which means they're doing a close up or they're doing a wide, and both of you are in shot. If you're doing a cross shoot like that with multiple cameras, things like EastEnders and Coronation Street stuff, they do cross shooting like that. You don't need to worry about any continuity. You can pick up a cut whenever you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh, can you? That's really interesting.
Well, if it's cross shooting, it doesn't matter. There's no continuity.
Yeah.
But if you're doing, it depends on if you're doing multiple shots as well. They can't cut between the shots.
Yeah.
Not doing that. You try and get it roughly the same. But if you're doing stuff that's shooting this way and then reverse, you just got to make sure you do everything. I try not to touch anything, do anything, because it's just easier.
Yeah.
Just don't. It's just easier. And then it will always match.
Oh, that's interesting, because I did the opposite on a short film, and my character had to go browse through these books and pick up the books. And looking back, I thought, I was so hell-bent on continuity and not ruining anything. Every shot I did exactly the same thing, and I would have actually liked to have played, because she was a bit sort of surreptitious, and I would have liked
so it works.
I would have liked to, and if I could go back, I've learnt from that. I would go back and I wouldn't be so accurate on that and let myself play a bit more, because I feel like that stage business, as I call it, even though it's on set,
it gives you something to do as well. It takes half of your mind
fun.
Off as well, which I think is quite good. If you've got something to do, it takes your mind off, so maybe you're not worrying about the words or thinking about the lines, because people can see what you're thinking. If I'm thinking something, you can see it in someone's eyes, especially on a cinema screen. Maybe not on a vertical, on a little phone, but you can see what people are thinking. So if I'm thinking about what lines I'm doing,
it's going to come across. So I've said this to my kids, well, not my kids, but my students, about that. TV acting, we've done the difference between theatre and TV. And one of the things is, you think your thought, You think you're like, you don't act it, obviously. But yes, if your thought is, oh my goodness, what's my next line? That is going to be read just as clearly as whatever thought you're.
That might be okay, but it might read wrong.
Yeah, true.
So
yeah, but learn your lines, kids.
Yeah, really learn your lines. And that's the most important thing. Doing something like a soap opera, like Hollyoaks, actually very, very similar in the way they shoot to vertical stuff. Like I say, I do like it. It's quick and it gets through, and it means that every day is different, and it's you're on your A game all the time. I like
Not
that.
so much hanging around.
Not so much hanging around. I like it. I do like hanging around in the Ritz and Dubai as well with Orlando.
Oh, sure.
But I do really enjoy getting the work done and putting stuff on camera. Even if no one sees it, I love it. It's brilliant. I still love it. It's really great. And that's why I produce stuff as well. I think putting stuff together and having the opportunity to create something with a bunch of amazing people is a privilege. So I think
we haven't talked much, have we, about your producing? And that kind of brings me into the next section, is I wanted to talk to you about industry changes. Obviously, you've witnessed a huge change and been at the forefront of that with WeAudition, seeing sort of everything go from in-person to self-tape. How do you see the industry evolving? You've mentioned verticals, and I do want to talk to you more about how that differs in craft as well. So I'll come back to that. How do you see the industry evolving?
So I'm going to be honest, it's going to be like a lot of it's going to be AI. That is just how it's going to be. So opportunity-wise for the future, for your young people going forward to being actors, it's not going to be the opportunity that has been for previous generation, for me, or for even before my generation. It's not going to be that. We are going to have a whole proliferation of, organic content, of course, and people doing their individual things, but it's not going to be like it is now. And there's going to be a lot of stuff made with AI.
Do you think?
Cars were invented.
That's so scary.
It's not sad. It's just different. There's going to be different things and a different thing. I don't think it's sad, but it is going to be that. I don't think we can argue that anymore. It's so good. People still race horses, and we've got cars. There'll always be theatre. People want to see stories. That live thing will always exist. And actually, there is a market for people creating stuff with real people and doing real scenarios, but it will be so possible to do it so cheaply, so easily, and with algorithms cleverer than humans that fulfill whatever need we want. So it's not necessarily going to be. We're not going to be making necessarily, Netflix, Severance, 8 or whatever. I don't think that's going to be. I don't think it's going to be like it is now soon. It's going to change. So that gives us possibilities and opportunities. But what I think it really does is give us opportunities as young people and as mums of young people and dads of young people to make our own stuff and to find an audience. If you want to do that, I think you should be doing that. And that's why I'm doing it. So I think you should be making your own stuff, your own skits, your own films, your own stuff, and not aspiring to be working for someone else doing their vision. I think you should be doing your own. That's a mantra for life, really. I think you should always be doing your own vision and creating your own thing. And I take that on. I've always done that with my tech, my life, and my filming. So I think it's important to do that because we're creative beings, we're creative people. And I think you should be doing that because when you're in, what are we aspiring to? If I want to be in a Spielberg film, am I aspiring to be famous? That's not going to happen anymore. Are we aspiring to earn loads of money? Well, that's null and void and nowadays. Or am I aspiring to do good creative work? Well, you can do good creative work with your friends.
Yes, I was going to say friends because I can hear the parents in my head thinking, I haven't got time for this. I'm trying to hold down a full-time job and get my kid to auditions and whatever. But the kids can do it. And they did just recently, Lacey and her friends, they went and made a movie in the woods and they had they showed me, I was very impressed actually. They have got the technology and they can learn through play, can't they? Yeah. How exciting. Yeah, I wish I could have gone and made movies in the woods. Yeah.
Oh my God, I had a little camera. I remember when I was younger, we had this we borrowed it from someone I can't remember. It was like on a VHS tape, and we borrowed a camera and put together little Lum Polly adverts. I'm that old. I am. Brilliant. I remember that. If any of your mums know about that, then they are a certain age. But we used to do that, get away, and used to cut the tape. So I did an edit. I used to do that when I was younger. That creative got me into wanting to do movies, and then I was like, you need an audience for it, but now you can get an audience through Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, YouTube, all the things. There's a huge I talked about another app as well. I vibe coded something recently, which is I found someone else who's done it. It does exist on the App Store, but an app that can shoot this way and that way, because
So
you can
vertical
shoot,
and horizontal,
yeah,
if you're just listening. Yeah.
Instagram and YouTube. So
Yeah.
I've just coded something actually that does that. But I found another
That's
person who's
exciting.
already done it, but I might improve on it. But the different ways, there's different ways of presenting your story for a vertical audience or for a horizontal audience. There's different ways of framing storytelling. If you're in the cinema, you're going to have a different pace. If you're going to be doing stuff on vertical, you need to worry about your hook and your structure and your pacing. It's very creative. I love it. I think it's great. And actually the opportunity with Instagram and these other platforms is huge. You can possibly reach an audience. You could be 15 and reach a
Yeah,
same
I was going to say,
audience.
as long as you're old enough to use it, or prior to that parent managed stuff. Yeah, and I've got a whole episode talking about protecting yourself as well, and how to deal with being online as well. So
Yeah, that is
check
really
that out if you
important.
need
You've got to
it.
worry about
Yeah.
that. And a lot talking about VertiCast and age restrictions. We have restrictions. There are restrictions in the US on who can use some of this software. And actually, I'm a big believer for our children, my children. We don't let them use social media or devices very much at all. Because I know how addictive
you
they
wait, you've got it. Yours are a bit younger than mine. You've got it all to come, Rich.
are. I know.
Yeah,
but,
it's hard. You can't keep them
allowed at
up
the moment.
forever. But no, brilliant, perfect.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah,
But I know how
obviously
addictive
my
it is. I know how
14-year-old loves hers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good for their attention span. We're talking about people that are producing short form content for mobile. They're talking about the attention span of a whole generation coming
This
down.
worries me.
People
Yeah,
they can't process content in a long form. And I have to say, myself, I find it very difficult to sit through a whole movie. I generally will watch a movie at home and I'll sit it in 2 sittings probably. That might just be because of, I generally can't sit there for, it's a long time, 2 hours, whatever, sit through something. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So
I find myself Googling the actors, though. I find myself on my phone, but it's always something, or the history of it. It's always something to do with.
You're doing something on a
the
second
movie,
device because you're
definitely, but not something completely different. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was going on in the 1900s or whatever, and just go down little rabbit holes of interest, and then miss the next bit of the film.
And then you miss it. So audiences and writers are being asked in things like Netflix shows to keep going over the plot, to keep talking about it, and to explain it in a much more dumbed down way.
Yeah.
And writers are not necessarily very happy about it, but it's something they're being asked to do because people are on a second or even third screen. They might have a laptop, their phone, and their
maybe doing a bit of work and
doing their social media, and they're watching Wednesday is a good example. One of the top shows that was my friend Sophie cast Wednesday, and when it came out, it was one of the top shows on Netflix by numbers watching it. But if you watch it, it's the sort of show that you'd have on whilst you do other things, and that's why it's very dumbed down.
It's because that's what people
very stylish.
Want.
People want to have it on and just follow the story whilst they're doing other things. So that's
because we live busy lives and we've got things to get done, but also want entertainment. Yes,
and so the opposite of that, or the nuance of that, is the social content, the vertical content, which is very hooky, which engages you and it won't let you put it down. That's why it's evolved into being this, talking about style and acting style.
Yes, tell me about that.
Gripping. We want to be gripped. You want to see someone losing it, or you want to. It's engaging.
Coming full circle here to your melodrama, and
it is melodrama and microdrama, melodrama, soap opera. It's that genre on your phone. So, oh my gosh, they're going to hit each other. Oh my gosh, he's done something nasty to her, or he's the father of that child. That's what a lot of roles of that in for the young people.
Okay.
An heiress or a,
there's a lot of money, power, status going on. Really quite
actually
like
comes from
stereotypical. Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot of them, almost all of them, apart from 3 or 4, are owned by Chinese organizations. So a lot of the stories are translated. So there is a culture that's, come across. So a lot of the storylines are, and also they're done very well in America. So there's a slightly different outlook. They do follow a thing, yeah.
Tell me about the actual acting then. So we talked about the style, presumably the different shots that we're used to as actors and how close. I'm thinking of proxemics, how close and far you are from each other. It's got to be different now in this new way of shooting, or is it the same.
Yeah, no, it is quite different. So I've done a few. I did one in Atlanta with I'm able to work in America. It's great on shows. So I went to Atlanta to shoot one. Just trying to remember the name of it. Billionaire Marries a Homeless Girl, I think it was, or something like that, with Seth Eden and Savannah. Savannah's killing it. She's absolutely doing brilliantly. She's the lead in that one. Generally, you shoot 2 cameras. One is quite wide, so we'll get your whole body, including your feet, the whole thing. So imagine,
see, that's something we're not really used to.
No, not used to that. You're never used to getting your feet in.
Pop your slippers on.
Yeah. Never. So yeah, the whole thing generally wide, and then a close up, which is generally wide cowboy. So it's sort of here to here-ish. The cowboy is actually your thighs, but generally there. So they can punch in a little bit for their close ups.
Yeah.
But generally they'll do that shot, and that will generally be like they'll do a beautiful one with like the fuzzy background and making it look beautiful, and then the wide will be for context, and it will show the set and all the rest of it. And
so do you need to stand a lot closer to each other on your
I
medium close-ups?
Something else.
I think I've seen it maybe on your social media. I think, or maybe you said something to Chris.
I did a show with.
I don't know. I feel like you've told someone. Really?
You talk over the shoulder, and you would never talk.
So if you're listening to this, Rich has got his hand up to his face with like half a thumb's length away, like really, really close.
So I could almost lick Seth's ear in one scene. And you're both looking the same way.
I'm sure he would love that.
Much taller than me. I think I was on a boat. But he's like, if you imagine a 2-shot with a face, you want to see both faces in the shot, right? So you want to see one behind the other, and they're chatting. They're looking the same way. But to have you both in focus and both look the same size and look like they're sort of stood next to each other, the person behind has to have their chin almost on the shoulder of the person behind them. Almost.
I can imagine.
Looking the same way. It's very awkward.
Yeah, very.
And likewise, doing
very close, very quickly.
Very close, very quick. And doing a love scene. Imagine you're talking to a love interest on a wide cinema screen. You could be one left, one right of camera. So one of frame.
Yeah.
Well, on vertical, you need to have a lot less space behind you. So you might be having a conversation with 2 or 3 centimeters between you as you're talking. It's very awkward. Very awkward, especially if you just met the person. It's very awkward. Lots of mints available on set.
Yes, excellent. Let's talk about well-being and balance, because we talked about this right in the beginning, that you know, we're quite an advocate for young people and for well-being in general. So I always like to come back to this for young performers, because I also think it's really, really important. How do you maintain well-being in this industry that can be very unpredictable, ever-changing? What do you do for yourself?
Yeah, it is really hard. And I think staying in it for the long game is important. And I struggle sometimes, and sometimes I do really well. I'm a big advocate of doing exercise, which works really well. I'm a big advocate of being nice to yourself. I do like a meditation/journal thing, which has evolved over the years. I can talk about that if you want a little bit. But I very much, every morning without fail, I've been doing this for a good few years, ever since many, many, many years. I say to myself every morning, 10 things I'm grateful for. 10 things that I am. So I am in the positive, it stops self-sabotage. And then I say I deserve, and then you say 10 things. They can be different things every day. They change. It's so important. Now, I went through a phase of writing these things down. I don't write them down on a bit of paper anymore. I do advocate for journaling. I think it's brilliant. The act of writing them down, the time it takes to do it, the physical action of doing it, not typing it, writing it.
Yeah, I know writing.
But you shred it afterwards or throw it away or chuck it away or burn it, whatever. But the actual writing it down, it gets it from your mind into the real world, especially if you're someone who doesn't talk to themselves in words, in concept. It's very good to put that down. And a lot of religion is based on a lot of these things, meditation and thankfulness and gratefulness and all these things. It is, over our history of humankind, it's been something that we do, whether you believe in religion or not. That they are doing the same thing. I find them very good. And I would say for actors, particularly and young actors, it's very important, because people struggle to be themselves in life. People struggle to find themselves. But if you're being an actor, you're not only struggling to find yourself, you're struggling to find another character as well. So you're not sure who yourself is. Who is it? And a lot of actors struggle with their mental health. And I think you've got to be in it for the long game. So yeah, I would advise that.
Definitely. Students could do this, couldn't they? Young people, we could scale it down. They could do 1 thing or 3 things, or they could even do this with a parent or carer if they wanted to. They could reflect in an evening. You could find what way works for you. It doesn't have to be 10 things in the morning,
If you
does it? You
believe that
could
you're
find
not
what
going to learn
works.
your lines, if you believe that you're going to fail, you will fail. If you believe that you're a good line learner, you're going to be a better line learner. If you believe that you're great for the role and you're going to get things incoming, you're going to look for things that are incoming, you're going to look for opportunities, and you're going to do better.
Yes.
And as humans, we self-sabotage a little bit sometimes. No, that's not right for me, or I'm not good enough for that. It's very difficult. We are good enough. Of course you're good enough. And why shouldn't it be you over anyone else? We're all human beings. We're all very similar. Just because you've been born one way or another way, have a different opportunity maybe to start off with. There's no difference, in us really. Are all very worthy. So, if you want to do it, you should go and do it, and you should believe that you can do it as well, and you deserve to do it. You should definitely do that. So, telling yourself
that's really
that you're
beautiful.
worthy is really important.
Yes, I agree. And we've had lots of different advice, and I think you would even sometimes say to young people, are you sure you want to do this? Because it comes with a lot of difficulties and hardship.
I would
often
advise that, and it's difficult to say it. I don't think it's a job for everyone. I don't think it will be a job in the future as well. So if you're a mummager and you're thinking that you're going to be, your child is going to be rich and famous and it's going to take care of you in your old age, please go and stop being deluded, because it's
I
not.
haven't thought about that.
If it's fun and you want to do it for fun, do it.
Yeah.
If you're doing it, so I don't know, you're enjoying it and you're having nice time together, do it. But there shouldn't be other reasons to do it. That needs to be alongside other things. It's a very changing role. And also there's no morals as well. As I did, like a human being has morals and things that are right and wrong. The industry at large doesn't have any morals. It just does whatever the market wants. So it's not going to go, oh no, it's not right that lots of people watch verticals. It's going to take people out of jobs in films. The market doesn't care. If people buy those, there'll be more made. If there are no jobs for people, no one's going to come along and say, oh, sorry, there's no jobs for people. We should make more.
You're quite
there just
right.
will be less.
Which comes back to making your own work, doesn't it? And enjoying the craft. And
if you enjoy it, that's brilliant. And that's what it should be for as well. Should we do some closing things? I've got
yes.
So you asked me to do a few quick fire things to close it up. We've got to an hour. Should we whiz through a few of those?
I love that. You're doing my job for me. Yeah, I was going to say, was there any final advice? But I feel like that was your final advice. Yeah, let's do. Did I give you the quick fire questions, or did I keep them from you?
You give me some quick fire questions.
So these could be the same, or hey, they might be different to the ones I've given you. Let's find out. One thing that really helps you in auditions.
Having a good reader.
Yes. A mistake you made early on that taught you something important.
Get over it. Just do the job. Move on, because sometimes you can kick yourself over an audition or wish that they're going to get back to you. Just do it. Move on. Don't.
That's amazing advice. I love that. One thing actors often overcomplicate.
Oh, procrastination on doing a thing. Yeah. What they overcomplicate. Yeah, just get the lines right and then see with the reader how it comes out. You don't spend 2-3 days prepping a character, because it might be cast by then. Nowadays, I would advise that previously. Nowadays, I'd say do a little bit of prep, read into what's going on, and then just get it down. You might do another one, whatever, but just get it down, get it off, I'd say. I think don't overcomplicate it, because there's going to be 200, 300 people going for that role. Get your tape in early, I would say. And that advice has changed recently.
Has it? Because I always say get the tape in early. And I used an analogy to a dance competition yesterday. My mum and I were watching a dance competition and my daughter was in it. And we sort of had our favourites. I was like, they were quite early on. I was like, they're brilliant. And then there were lots of other good ones. And I said to my mum, this is why you get your tape in early, because no one's beat that one. And if I'd seen that one later, they might have faded into my background. They actually were the winners as well. The ones I was quite chuffed that I guessed the winners. But I said to her, this is why I like to get my tapes in early. She's like, what relevance is this? So I'm glad you've said that.
People do it different ways.
With that. You can't always get it in early, can you? But I think if you can, then to go for it. And I've got one final question for you, which is one piece of advice for someone just starting out.
Oh, one piece of advice for someone starting out. Have fun.
Yay! I love that. Is there anything you wished came up in this chat that I haven't covered with you?
No, I think we've chatted about lots of things, and I really appreciate your time, and it's lovely to chat to you over a long period of time without children running around.
I know, just the cat in the background. Richard, would you like to say where people can find you and all of your exciting work and apps, etc.?
Yes, you can. You can find me lots of places. On Instagram, I personally am Rich Cambridge on Instagram. Check me out there. I've got some of my vertical dramas are on there. Some of the stuff that I do in my life is around there. You can also check out WeAudition. So it's WeAudition.com. There's also an app, WeAudition on the App Store, on the iOS App Store. And also VertiCast, which is VertiCast on the App Store, either Android or iOS. And that's verticastapp.com. If you're an actor and you want to be in vertical videos, verticastapp.com. If you're an actor and you want to earn some money being a reader for other people, weaudition.com. If you just want to find out and say hi to me, Rich Cambridge.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time and your energy and your wisdom.
You are welcome.
This evening. It's this evening for me, but it's not. It's what, lunchtime for you? I didn't mention that you're living the fabulous life in Barbados that we're all jealous
that's
of.
the result of technology and self-tapes. I can self-tape anywhere in the world. Why not live not in the UK?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
It's been an aspiration for our family for a bit. So we did a bit of traveling for a year and we're still traveling. It's an opportunity that self-taping has given us, and that's wonderful. And a digital life. It's an interesting time.
Isn't it? Right, I'll wrap up with my outro. So a massive thank you, Richard, for such a practical and generous conversation. There's so much in there about self-tapes, readers, set life, industry changes, and what really helps young performers and parents understand the realities of this world. If you found this helpful, do feel free to share it with someone who might benefit. And don't forget to follow or subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if you do have a moment to leave a quick review, it does help more people find the podcast. You can find more support resources and coaching through the links in my bio across all of my socials at The Drama Coach. And I'll be back very soon with another episode of The Drama Coach podcast. Thank you so much for listening.